It has been 14 nights in this van, so I think it's about time for a good owner's review of the Adria Twin Supreme 640 SLB. Let's do this. So me and the family spent 14 nights in this van, and I want to give you my thoughts on it, and I want to go through all of the things that we like about the van and what of the options that we've chosen and why, and whether or not we're still happy with those choices. We're outside the van, so let's take a look at the exterior. Now for me, it looks okay. It is a van after all, and it's never going to be a sexy race car. But the fact that we chosen the gray color, the metallic gray all around, including the front bumper, the black grille and the LED daylights, I think that looks okay. Even the black window on top with the Adria logo gives it a nice touch. The one thing I'm not really fond of is all of the decals. For that, I think Adria goes a little bit overboard, and I think other brands like Westfalia and even Himmercar go with a much simpler design. I think these vans should look like a van as much as possible. You don't want to overshout the fact that it's a camper van. Another thing that I would change if I was Adria is go for the windows that are flush with the van. So these stick out quite a bit. It's not an issue. It's not that it works bad or that the windows aren't good, but it looks a lot nicer when they're flushed with the van. So when it comes to the engine, we chose to go for the 150 horsepower. I would have gone for the 180 if it was available, but it is not available in the lighter chassis, so that one that goes up to 3.5 tons. So then I had to go to a heavier chassis, and then it would have required a different license, etc. So this is the strongest engine I could get in this van. I think it is more than adequate enough to get it moving forward. It drives the speed limit without any issues. But of course, you would always love a little bit more power. It consumes about a little less than 10 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers. For those miles per gallon, Google it. So that's, well, yeah, it's not economical, but it's not bad. And we chose the automatic gearbox. Is that absolutely necessary? No. Do I like it? Yes. And it gives the van a little bit more value as well. So yeah, I strongly recommend the automatic gearbox on the Fiat. It's not necessary, but it's nice to drive. So now let's jump into the van and have a look. For that, we have this nice big sliding door that provides ample ventilation for those hot summer days. And it comes with this little electric step that makes getting in and out of the van a lot easier. Now before we look at the living area, I want to first take you to the cab, because we talked about the engine before. So how is it to drive? Well, you will not be surprised that it drives like a van. That said, if you compare it to a full-size motorhome, it does drive a lot better. It's less wide. It catches a little bit less wind, especially from the front, because it's less surface area. So it drives quite well. It can reach speeds of up to 130 without any problem. Do I find that if you go to 110 kilometers an hour, that's about the speed I find comfortable to drive. Otherwise, it's more sailing than driving. Now, we spec this out more or less to the max. And the reason why, for the reason why, I need to take you to my car. So welcome in the car. So I drive a Skoda Superb. Now, it's not the fanciest car in the world, but it does come with all of the driving comforts. So it comes with parking sensors, it comes with a reversing camera, it comes with adaptive cruise control, it comes with full automatic lights, full automatic windscreen wipers. It has an automatic gearbox, a full automatic air conditioning. Well, basically all the driving comforts that a standard car today can provide. So back to the van. So if you're used to driving a car like that, you want to have as much of those creature comforts and safety comforts in a van like this. Now, if you look at any of the major brands, the basic model or the standard model, even in something that they call the Supreme version, which is like the luxury version, it comes with none of the options, none of them. So it doesn't even come with automatic air conditioning. So I spend a fair amount of money on the options to get this van as close to the car as possible. So we have now the automatic air conditioning, full automatic air conditioning. It has the automatic gearbox. It has the automatic lights and windscreen wipers. It has a cruise control, although not adaptive, but it does come with a warning sensor if you come too close to the one in front of you. Then it will give you a warning signal. It uses the camera that's also used for recognizing road signs, so that it tells you what the speed limit is if you passed a sign that you didn't see. And then when it comes to the sat nav, well, my car has a sat nav with CarPlay and everything. Well, the fanciest thing that you can get from Fiat themselves, well, it doesn't. It has a sat nav. But it doesn't have CarPlay. Now, once you use CarPlay, you usually use Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps instead of the sat-nav, because it's usually a lot more accurate, and it has traffic information. So I opted for this Kenwood system, which doesn't have a sat-nav, but does have the CarPlay, and that makes it a lot cheaper than a sat-nav unit would. That one also incorporates the reversing camera. So once you turn on the ignition, the Kenwood turns on. It takes a few seconds to get started, and then it shows you this safety warning, and there is no way to remove it whatsoever, but it goes away after 10 seconds automatically. So it has a DAB plus radio system, which I use mostly when I'm in Belgium. Outside of that, I use the CarPlay. The only problem that I found was using my sunglasses, which are polarized. It doesn't, because of the polarization, it sometimes is not good visible. So either I have to tilt my head or take off the glasses to view it properly. So when putting it in reverse, it automatically switches to the camera, and I've set the lines more or less correct so that I know that there the van fits in. It might look fairly narrow on the camera, but it's a wide angle lens from a very high up on the van, so it gives you a false perspective. So if you're driving, I found that you can actually activate the camera, and you can actually activate the camera at any time, so that it works basically like a reversing camera. And with everything in the back, well, a reversing mirror wouldn't work anyway. Now, I wouldn't lie, it is not good driving with that all of the time, but it's fairly okay for doing maneuvers back if you're doing maneuvers. It's not only a reversing, but also turning in tight spots. It's easier to leave this on. So that's the cab of the van. Now let's turn those chairs and make it into a living area. So to turn these chairs, you pull this lever and it turns. However, if you look here, then that doesn't work. So you need to slide it forward, turn it around, slide it back. Same with the other chair. Unlock, twist, send it back. So now we have the dining area, and if you're seating 4 people to eat, you can turn this table and you have adequate seating. So when it comes to spaces like this, it's basically 2 things that you need to keep in mind. One, how much room do I actually have? And how spacious does it feel? And those 2 things are not necessarily the same thing. So you can sit 4 adults, well, I'm not going to say easily, because if you have 2 grown men sitting on that bench over there, then honestly, it is quite small. It's quite packed together. That said, for the 2 kids, it's fine. And if I'm sitting there or my wife's sitting there with one of the kids, that works just as well. Secondly, it's about how spacious does it feel. And I think Adria did something brilliant here. So what Adria did here is one of 2 things. So first of all, they did it in the Supreme and in the Plus series. They removed this. They removed part of the cabin here, because in most vans here you have a beam and then you have a storage bin up on top of the seats. So this means that this entire space opens up and it feels a lot more spacious, and even when stepping on the little step, and when I'm standing next to the chairs, I can almost fit. I have to slouch a little bit, but it gives a feeling of room and openness. Then of course, the second thing that they did, and this is then partially exclusive to the Supreme, is one, have this humongous sunroof, yeah, and then of course the pièce de la résistance is this front cabin window on top of the actual cabin window, and this gives a feeling of room, of spaciousness, like I've seen in no other van. And I think this is why this van has been so popular, and I think this is why Adria sold so many of these vans, I believe. So then we can talk about interior colors and that kind of thing. I think this color scheme is, and maybe I'm biased because I bought this one, but I think it's modern, it's light, and I think it will, in 10 years, it will still look okay. Whereas the old brown cupboards, well, it looks old. Well, that's basically it. So I love the color design. I hope that the seating, that the upholstery will last over time, will survive the kids. But yeah, I think it looks really, really good. So moving on to the kitchen area. It is okay. So it is, with these van conversions, they come with a 2-burner hub and a sink with a faucet. It has hot water, it has cold water. It works great. My beef with it is the fact that the burners are, well, they don't have to be bigger, but they have to be spaced bigger. So you can put almost nothing on the smaller one because it's too close to this thing and it's not high enough. So it is fairly useless. And also I found that the little igniter, it's very hard to press. It doesn't work as well. And so I keep one of these here at all times, and that one works like a charm, and it's much easier. It usually even lessens the chances of having burnt fingers. I had situations where I started to try to start it using the button, and it took too long, so there was a lot of gas, and all of a sudden, whoosh, and the hair on my hands got burned. With regards to these nice, fancy, sliding soft closing doors. So I like the cupboards. They're very solid. They're very nice looking. They're really good. What I don't like is the fact that they have these mechanisms, because they don't always click. So I don't know if you can hear this. I close it. It should close automatically because it's soft close. And now it's actually closed. And we had surprises where it just slides open when you turn right. And it, well, it startles you. So I would much rather prefer to have one of these buttons on each sliding door, so that when you're driving, you lock them, and when you're parked, you can leave them open. It's easily done. It works really nice. So Adria, I know that you want to make it look fancy, but if you take fancy over useful, well, then you've lost me. So with regards to the other storage cupboards on top with that push to click, that works just fine. The struts work really great, and yeah, can't complain there. Also, the cupboard above the fridge and the cupboards next to the fridge under the bed are great. They work. They do their job. I love them. And even this one is often used to keep spare shoes. Next up is the fridge. This one, there's not much to say about a fridge. It's a fridge. It's a freaking big one for a van this size. And I love it because that means I can take a lot of food with us. So we can take a lot of food and drinks with us and have something cold to drink whenever we want it. So if you, especially if you have the 640 SLB, you have these extra cupboards here, so definitely go for the bigger fridge. It's worth it, for sure. So moving further back in the van, you of course hit the bathroom. This is also one of those key selling areas for the Adria Twin Supreme and the Twin Plus. It's the new style bathroom where you have a washroom with a sink and a toilet. If you want a shower, you change it into a shower by moving this wall all the way over there, and then you have a shower. Now I used it once to test it and it works fine, but and let me get up close and personal with you guys. If you close it here, right, it gets really small. I don't know how good you can it gets really small. Now I know I'm not the thinnest person in the room. I'm aware of this. You don't have to point it out. But it works. The only problem is if you drop something, for me, it's very hard to pick things up because I can't bend forward. There's not enough room. But yeah, this is what you get. I took a shower once. It works. It worked. I was amazed. The water was nice and warm, and it is excellent. So especially when you're camping without a campsite, I think this is a great shower. So one of the things I love about this shower, it doesn't have any curtains. The only thing that it has is this sliding door. That's more than enough, and it's really good. It's really good. One thing you have to keep in mind: there's no getting undressed in the shower. So you need to get undressed out of the shower. There's just simply not enough room. So if you want to take a shower, it means nudity in the van. Basically it. Now, I'm here with my wife and my kids. Not really an issue. But of course, if you are traveling together with some friends, it might be a different thing. The sink is very modern looking with this bowl design. Again, this is where they choose design over function. I feel that this space is very unusable because you could put something there right now, but you can't put it there while driving, so why bother? But it works. You have hot water, you have cold water. It can close off. It just works. The toilet, well, it's a cassette toilet. like any other cassette toilets. The only thing I find a bit weird is the fact that when you flush it, it kind of, well, it doesn't produce a lot of water. So I get the feeling that it doesn't fully flush. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe I have to check it out. Maybe it's by design. I don't know. Another thing that is really annoying is when you put up the toilet seat, it hits the sliding door. So if you completely close the sliding door, you can completely open up the lid. But if the sliding door is fully open, and usually at night I don't bother closing the sliding door, and then this one doesn't fully go open, and sometimes it just falls on your back, and it's annoying. That said, it's a cassette toilet. What more do you need? It works fine. For the rest of the bathroom, I think these things are really great. You can just leave it there, and it doesn't move around. Well, it can move around, but not far. It doesn't fall over when driving. And then for more storage, you have this little cupboard over here, which provides you with some more. So if you took a look at that cupboard above the fridge, that's the only one that is fairly high. So if you have like high bottles or like our champagne glasses, it's really nice that this higher one exists. Also, my brand new addition to the van. So the brand new addition to the van, which I'm eager to test out this week, fits in there because it's high enough. Compared to the cupboards right there, those are nice and wide, so ideal for plates, but they're not high for like bottles and stuff. Moving on further back into the van, I already talked about the beds in a previous video. Mattresses are good, the beds are great. I've slept on them very well. When you're sleeping with two people, you have more than enough room. You don't have to bother one another. You could take away the cushion in the middle and have it as a nightstand for your cell phone, etc. But it's well, and of course, if you have a small child, it could sleep there. That said, my youngest, she couldn't lay still, so that really didn't work out. The one thing I have my doubts with this fan is the way they choose the windows. Now, I know that they want to standardize a lot of it, so I guess that it makes sense to have the windows in the back if you have the 6-meter version, because that would mean that otherwise it gets very dark. Now, my problem with this is, because we're sleeping that way, once you open up the blind, let me show you. So if you so you're sleeping basically with my head here, and I find that this thing is not, well, it's good enough and it will last as long as you don't, well, touch it. And I get the feeling that this thing is not as solid as it could be, and so because I just fit in the bed, I don't have that much room left. I sometimes push my pillow in it, and then sometimes it gets all railed off. I usually get it back into that folded shape again, but still, I don't think those extra windows are needed. Or same can be said for these windows, because if you want to have a third person sleeping here in the middle, you want to lay as close to the windows as possible, or close to the sides as possible, and you do lose some room here. And again, these blinds are, well, not indestructible. What I would love to see here is, instead of a window like this, I would have the same window that we have here right there. Now, I understand why Adria doesn't do that, because they use the same hole for if you want the air conditioning instead of the window. But I would much prefer a big window that you can fully open up, and then have only one of these. Either not use the back windows or not use these ones. I think it's just a bit too much. And honestly, it's for the sleeping area, so you don't need that much light. And of course, I would probably remove the back windows. If you really want that open, you can just open up the door for like that morning breeze. But I think that just for light purposes, a big sky roof here as well, combined with the side windows, would be more than enough. For the bed in the living room, I ask you to watch the other video that I made earlier for how that looks and how you set it up. So the only thing I really find utterly annoying in this fan with regards to the beds is that you have a nice dual USB plug there, so my wife can charge her phone, charge her watch, charge her iPad, whatever she chooses. And on this side there is none. Like none. Like, come on, Adria. Only one person has a cell phone? It doesn't make any sense. So when it comes to the interior, I think it's well thought out of. There's more than enough storage space inside. The only thing that I would like a little bit more is like more USB plugs left and right. Also, the Fiat has a USB plug in front that only works when the ignition is turned on. I wonder how much work it would cost Adria to change that to be connected to the leisure battery so that you can use it all time. So you can leave a phone there, charge it from the USB plug. Maybe I'll dig into the wire someday and connect it myself. How hard can it be? For the last bit inside, talk about the heating system. So it's a Truma heating system, both for the hot water and the heating. We chose for the E version, which allows you to work off of the electrical grid if you're connected, as well as gas powered. Most of the campsites just charge you for the connection and not for how much that you actually use, and therefore this is very beneficial for us because we can basically heat the van or the water for almost for free. But for me, what's the most important thing is that I always have the backup of the gas for those times that I don't have access to the electricity, and leaves most of it for the cooking. So I think I will last a long time with these two big bottles that I have in the back just because of that. We chose to go for the 120 watt solar panel option and the two AGM leisure batteries so that we have enough power and enough of power generation to leave the van even with the fridge on in the summer. It just, well, you can just leave it on. It will work even when not connected. It will take several cloudy days for it to drain the battery and leave us stranded without power. So let's run quickly to the back of the van to show you how much storage there's actually there. So as you can see, the van opens up and has a lot of room. It has a lot of room for, well, a lot of stuff, lots of stuff. So let's take a closer look. So you see that it's fully packed because we're almost ready to leave for our big trip. Well, on the right side we have the table, my chair and my wife's chair behind that one, and also the plank for the extra bed. And then here we have the paddleboard, which is new, which we're gonna test hopefully, well, maybe not tomorrow, hopefully at least on Monday. Here we have the blocks, the Milenko blocks that we use. We have two steps that we for the kids to play on the campsite. Then the kids' chairs, a foldable bike that I borrowed from a friend of my wife's because I ordered a Brompton and it's gonna arrive at exactly a week too late. And then in the back you can see the dual action pump for the paddleboard. Then there you have two cupboards. These are very large spaces. The lowest one is filled with kites, and the upper one is like a pantry where we have all spare bottles of water, some kava, and cookies, and what have you. So these are large storage areas. The only problem with it is, well, you have to take everything out to even open them up. Then here we have the gas locker. Well, it's a gas locker. And I decided that I'm gonna put my smelly running shoes here as well, because why not? So to conclude, do we like this van? Do I think it's a great van? Am I happy with my purchase? Yes, I am. Are there certain things I would change? Maybe some of them I think I know how they could be improved easily, like less decals, just make it a little bit more sober, and the flushed windows, well, just buy the flushed windows one. I might change the window configuration in the back with regards to the bed, but other than that, it's an amazing van. It drives good. It has all of it. All of it is here. Everything is functional. You have enough room both for storage and for us. You have a very innovative bathroom design that works great as a shower as well. And yeah, I'm sure that my family and I will have some great adventures in this van. Speaking of adventures, we're leaving tomorrow on a 3-week or almost 3-week trip. So maybe after those 3 weeks, I will come back to you and maybe have another opinion of the van. But after 14 nights spending in this van, traveling almost 1,500 kilometers, being in the van only with the kids and with my wife and the kids for 5 trips, I think we have made a very good purchase, and so I highly recommend this van. Very curious to see what Adria will do for the 2020 models. They will be announcing them pretty soon, I guess, right after summer, around summer. But until then, this is the current model, and I think it is a very good van. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my videos, subscribe to our channel to see all of our adventures. And then I wish you a good day and see you in the next one. Bye bye.